storm show. Ay, it's a storm show.
So the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, all right, I want to officially welcome you to the show.
All right, young man, the judge is in the house.
Judge is in the house. The judge is in the house. And so, you know, you are somebody who I wanted to interview because you always keep it real. What does it truly mean to be pro-Black?
You identify with the culture, a people, a situation, a history, and you do something to make sure that the people who have that same background don't get trapped in remaining slaves. You take the slave collar off, but you still have a slave unless he thinks like a free man. So it's about thinking like you're a free man and doing what you're obligated to do to make sure that happens.
But what about for the people that feel like the white man is constantly keeping them down? Some people feel like they can't get ahead no matter what they do.
What? It's adversity. Our ancestors dealt with Simba on the plains of the Serengeti. You think they hid in some goddamn hovels behind a fence to hide from the lions? Or did they tell their young men, you're going on 13, you got to go kill Simba with a wooden spear, no iron head to show you're a man. Now go do it. It's adversity.
Exactly.
Humans have been adversity since day one. So no big deal. It's just a punk ass slave mind thing where the white man's keeping you down so much you can't do anything. Get over it.
Get over it
and fill up and go do what you got to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it's you know, you say that, but I feel like you come from a generation where you guys were still like, you were making real men. But in 2021, I don't really see that. I don't even really see that many masculine Black men out there. Why do you, what do you think is the cause of that?
I'm one. Hell, you can listen to me.
Yes, sir.
Hell, granddad's here trying to tell you how to do it. And see, man up. It's got to be, you have to have up here so you get masculinity. What's masculinity? It's about doing the right thing at the right time, right place for the right people.
Right.
You can be counted on to be about duty, honor, accountability, responsibility, dependability, making where you are a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, a sense of purpose, morality, and ethics. You are a man of peace who can become brave and courageous when necessary and extremely violent if it's appropriate. But you control yourself. You let emotions inspire you, not control you. You're not a woman. And there's too much of this feminization going on. So man the hell up.
You know what?
We have in our head, we like to call each other dogs. That's not a man thing. Calling each other the N-word, that ain't man. See, at the end of the 60s, we had a comeback, knock whoever says that out flat, put him on the ground, black, white, brown, red, yellow. But in the early 70s, you had these young female brood cows who dropped all these babies starting at 11, 12, 13 years old. And I know when I was the public defender in Memphis and I had all these white folk working for me who were afraid to go talk to Black clients and witnesses, I'd go to the projects and there would be 4 or 5 women in this small smoky kitchen, cigarette or a joint in one hand and a 16 ounce Old English 800 in another, and they call it, little N, go get my cigarettes, you little fool, little picking in the end, blah, 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 just like your no good dog ass daddy. And lady, don't talk to your nephew like that. That ain't my nephew, that's my son. How the hell old are you? I'm 13, I'm in mama. You 13? We have 2 of them mine. And there's 7 or 8 of these little smelly, nasty little brats that haven't had a bath in 2 weeks. They got snot dried all over their faces. They've got food dried all over the front of their clothes. They got shit in their pants that hadn't been wiped out. Clothes haven't been washed in a month. And they calling them, get my cigarette, give me a beer, little fool. So I'm looking at mama 13 and the client I got is 19. And between the 3, 4, 5 of them in there, they got 9, 10, 11 kids. Good and they're talking to them like that. Now, this is 1977, say, let's say, and you got one of them that's like 8 years old. So 10 years later, 1987, he's 18, 17 years old. You had another 10 for 1997. He's 27, 28. You had the first decade of this century. He's in his late 30s. You had another one, and he's in his late 40s, and now he's getting into his 50s.
Yes,
and
sir.
He's got great grandchildren because he's been taught to just breed like he's on a slave plantation, doing Massa a favor of increasing Massa's two-leg livestock to buy, sell, trade, or put to work. And our whole inner cities are nothing but plantations where the Negroes have no crops to pick. And our so-called leaders are vying to be overseers over a plantation with no crops to pick. And they're being good dogs. Here, boy, come. Yeah, boss, wagging tail, tongue hanging out. Oh, a bacon bit. Oh, yeah, a milk bone. Oh, goody. Thank you, massa. Can I wag my tail, roll over, and will you rub my belly for me? Oh, and don't forget, it's time to change my flea collar. And it's like we act like damn dogs in a kennel, and the police are playing kennel master to keep the dogs from fighting up in the kennel. Kennel master gets them to acting in the master's best interest. It's like the way we always belong to one party. And it's ironic that it's the party that was founded at the beginning of the 19th century to perpetuate slavery and spread it into the new territories.
Yes, sir.
We got it, and it's so telling that the Negroes just love them some overseer Biden. These poor trailer park trash, and he ain't the master. These are broke fuckers, except what he's stolen. He's been a racist for the last 50 years. He said it over and over again. And damn fool, Massa apologize. Overseer apologize. No, hell no, fool.
And what gets me
on appearances and emotions, we don't know what the hell's going on. We need to be independent. We don't need to belong to any damn party. And it's always got to be an equation we forgot about. What the hell have you done for me lately?
Nothing. They've done nothing.
Caucus? Hell, that's just a bunch of surrogates for the Rainbow Coalition, and not the one Jesse Jackson started. We have 3 national political parties. 2 of them are official. The Jumbos, the Jackasses, and the Rainbows. And you can be officially a Jumbo and still be a Rainbow, or a Jackass in a Rainbow, but they got the 6B initiation thing. Unbuckle, drop britches, drop boxers, bend over, spread butt cheeks, get banged, and then they're initiated into the rainbows. It's like you can be an alpha and a Mason, or you can be a Q and a Mason. You know, and you may have the challenges out there who's going to stomp the yard better, but if you're Masonic, you can still cooperate behind the scenes. But you have a cult that is trying to make itself the official religion of the United States, so it is crammed down everybody's throat, whether they want it or not. Yeah. And they are censoring us. And instead of having some goose-stepping, jack-booted fascists like you had 100 years ago, Ach over Deutschland, Germany, you've got some pink panty-wearing little fascists who are switching and twitching. They took over the media 50 years ago. They've been indoctrinating and propagandizing the public. Now they've taken over the government, and they're trying to change the laws. So you have lost your freedom of speech. So you can't say anything that makes anybody feel uncomfortable, whether or not it's true. The Fifth Amendment, and these son of a bitches are trying to defund the police, the kennel masters, so you can't get protected, but they want to take your guns away. And the bottom line is on that, they won't get it they get them from the thugs, because the thugs get them coming in with the dope they haven't been able to stop in 40 years of the war on drugs. Because when you get a shipment of drugs, you get a few cases of real hardware coming in. Ain't that a bitch? And you got these Negroes talking about, we don't need, oh, goddamn, stop buying bling and buy bang. You only learn how to use it. Stop being so goddamn scary. We have too many fools who want to take the spear from the warrior because a damn slave might cut himself on the sharp edge.
Man, you spitting it. You spitting it real, and I'm glad you spoke on a lot there. And
I don't give a goddamn if I'm hurting somebody's feelings. I'm 74th birthday in another 2 weeks. And in all these damn years, ain't one son of a bitch gave a damn about whether he was offending me talking bullshit.
Yeah.
So fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll say it back, and it's truth. You got to confront the lie with truth.
You do. And you spoke on a lot there. I'm glad that you said that, because to me, if I got freedom of speech, where is the line between freedom of speech and hate speech? Because hate speech can just mean you didn't like what I said. But if I didn't lie, I should still have the freedom to express that.
That's the sneakiest ass lowdown trick since the Nazis started putting something in hate speech. So goddamn what? When I was in elementary, junior high, and high school, we used to run the dozen. Hey, man, I won't say nothing about your fat mama, man, but I was over there last night. She, you know, your daddy working night, man. She was trying to get me to fuck her, man, but I couldn't but find nothing but fold to put my dick in, man. I don't know where the pussy was up in all that well, brother. You know.
Yeah. I mean, that was just, man, that was just a generation where you guys weren't like sensitive like that. Now today, you can't like, you can't.
Yeah, sensitive. See, they've been glorifying dysfunction for 50 years.
True.
50-some years ago, 55 years ago, if you wanted to be cool, you're a black man, you went to college. Or you had a good job in the family. You know why? One reason you didn't, you'd get that 1A classification, and you're likely to get a 1-year free vacation in sunny Vietnam so you can watch the bugs and the slimy shit crawl through the mud and drop on you and sting the shit out of you.
Right.
And then Viet Cong say, hey, what you doing? What you get? You know, hey, GI, me fucky long time.
So, but back then, it was basically what you're saying is back then, black men actually had honor, something to look forward to. They had standards that were set for them. They
started in the late 60s, early 70s. You know, you can put Superfly and, you know, all that other crap in there, and they started glorifying dysfunction. And every time they had a good-looking sister, she had to flop titties out at any excuse. She'd get bumped on a wall and the titty would come out. She'd get knocked down and a bare ass would be out from under her micro mini dress. And, you know, glorification of dysfunction. So nowadays, instead of a brother having it together, we glorify pimps, hoes, drug dealers, murderers, thieves, bank robbers, burglars, rapists, and every other kind of goddamn fool thugging it out, trying to gangsterize somebody. And by the way, let me say something about your typical fucking hood rat. He's a punk. He's got no damn manhood in him. Yes. And he's a lesbian in a boy's body. If you take a lesbian in the hood, she's raised to be a girl. She likes girls sexually, but she's got girl plumbing. If the fairy god fuck or whatever he is waved a magic wand over and she woke up with a dick the next morning, she'd be no different from your typical hood rat.
Right.
A lesbian with a dick, because he doesn't have man in him, because men protect where they live, make them safer and better places, not tear them down. And then look what the hell they have done to our black women. Give an example. A few years ago at a Super Bowl, Janet Jackson had a microsecond wardrobe malfunction, which if you recorded it and you stopped it and wound it back and forth until you got it, she had a big starburst pinned to a nipple, and it covered more than your typical bikini top, but they raised all kinds of hell about that. Yeah. Now you got Lizzo, the lizard hippo, with her bare ass out with some dental floss up her fat ass, trying to twerk with it oiled down in the Lakers game at the Staples Center, and all these children watching it. Everybody's talking about shame-free expression. Bullshit. That's slut.
But she says you shaming her though. She says if you got a problem,
shame. You need to shame bullshit. That's why people used to go to church, so the preacher could shame you into stop sinning. Now all they talk about is belief. Some folk think they get to heaven if they do good deeds, but you won't get to the pearly gates. Say Jesus, lest you believe. You can be a thief. You can be a drug dealer. You can be a murderer or a thief, a prostitute or a pimp. But you will see Jesus if you just believe. Oh, hell no. and they're pimping too, trying to get something to float into their collection plates, and they pass the damn things around 5-10 times the service.
True that. True that.
You
true
know,
that.
like, hey, what the hell is wrong with us? And then these people need to be shamed, because what kind of image is that for young girls? Hell, somebody wanted me to talk to her granddaughter. Judge, will you please talk to this baby girl? Oh, you Judge Joe Browner? Yes, I am. What's the problem, young lady? Why are you eating so much? Your grandmother said she had to stop you from trying to polish off a half a loaf of white bread. What's that? Well, I want to put on weight so I can be beautiful like Lizzo.
Oh, no.
I said, baby, that's an ugly troll. It's just ugly women who want you to look ugly like them. Your grandmother, I used to date your grandmother 40 years ago, 35 years ago. She was sure enough fine. And your mama ain't bad either. So why are you trying to look like some kind of a fat lizard? What's the matter with you? That woman has got psychological problems, and we don't need to be feeding her sickness by telling her she looks good. She doesn't. She's going to die of a heart attack before she hits 40.
But you know what, though? When Jillian Michaels said that very same thing, all Jillian Michaels said is, look, she is on her way to diabetes and high blood pressure if she don't fix that.
Michaels.
Yeah. You don't care. I know.
Independently. I don't give a shit. You can't fuck with me. I quit being the highest paid man in Hollywood because they were trying to fuck with me, talking about the ratings are down. Well, everybody's ratings are down. But CBS is being told I'm their number one goddamn money-making proposition. And I was in the same unit with Judy, Oprah, and Phil. And I kicked Phil in his ass every day. And Oprah every week of the year in the ratings for the last 3 years and stepped on Judy's heels. But they kept changing the goddamn ratings. You know, these some bitches wouldn't even put me on TV Guide in LA, and people were always calling in, is the judge still on? And I'm supposed to be the highest rated man show on TV.
Yeah, but you know what though?
What's wrong with that picture? It had nothing to do with money. Although they were stealing 25-30 million a year, and I had to keep lawyers on their ass.
Damn. So basically, you saying you were supposed to that you were the number one, but they just couldn't have you above Judge Judy.
They couldn't have a straight black man. They claim that cult claims that 8 to 9 out of every 10 people in all occupations in Hollywood are part of their thing. Now, I don't care what gays do. You can do all the freak shit you want in your bedroom. If I'm with a woman, we gonna get our freak on if she's willing. But that's my business. I don't get out and get the advertising it in the streets. Right. I don't have my women out there trying to have something with a hole cut on a parade stand so they pussy show. But what about these freaks get up here and these chaps with their bare butts and dicks swinging out and they got kids looking? That is self-hate. That shows a subconscious disposition to hate yourself. Now, back in the 60s, black folk had a big problem. We were so negatively displayed all over the place that a lot of us just flat hated ourselves. But we decided to engage in collective self-help. Black power. Black and I'm proud. You know. And what I'm looking at now is a bunch of folk have taken over every damn thing who hate what they are, hate what they want to be. And at the forefront, they've got these damn queer freaks who are drag queens running around trying to play that they're girls. For God's sake, what is their use? Women are put up on pedestals by men because they birthed the next generation. They know.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, but now in Congress, they're not saying woman anymore. They're saying a birthing person.
From that bunch of assholes. The whole bunch of them ought to be turned out because they're trying to Nazify the country. By the way, the term was National German Socialist Workers Party, acronym Nazi. And see, they used the same methodology. They had a problem with homosexuality being too rampant too. That was the night of the Long Knives when they wiped out Rom, who was head of the SA, and they used to have propaganda movies where they had naked men in showers, greasing each other down and playing with each other, talking about women should be reserved for reproduction. Sex should be had with men. Even Hitler couldn't deal with that any longer.
Oh, damn.
And see, I mean, everybody that's gay is not into that because they are a cult. LGBTQ. Why do you think we are giving people credit for their sex practices? Not what
I've never understood
sex practices. How about we have a goddamn month for people who like to do it doggy style or reverse cowgirl on top? The hell, that is stupid. And what are you letting these fools get away with this crap, teaching these little first, second, third grade students about this crap? These drag queens reading, and then allowing these goddamn perverts to compete against real women. Men are never supposed to hit women because they are stronger, but put a bra on and a wig and you can beat up on them all you want. And it's personal to me.
Yeah, but they say
discount hardware store parking lot, Lowe's, I think it was, one of these big mega hardware stores. Somebody said Uncle Joe, and I looked over and there was this beautiful 19-year-old girl. I didn't know who she was, but she had her elbow up in a half body cast in a brace going down to a thing around her waist to hold her arm up. I said, baby, who are you? She told me. I said, oh, I haven't seen you since you've been 11, but your grandfather's been telling me about you. He's so proud of you. Well, she had started taking martial arts like 8 or 9 years old, so she got a scholarship in full course wrestling at a major university. That was part of the thing for women's sports. Why should boys be the only ones that are allowed to get athletic scholarships to go to college for free? How about the girls? Okay, fine. But she said what happened was, this is before COVID hit. It was in 2019. And she said, we had a tournament and they told me I had to wrestle this boy. And I said, I wasn't going to do it. And they told me I'd lose my scholarship if I didn't, and the team would forfeit. The same thing with another sister that was on the team. And she got 3 cracked ribs and a fractured jaw, and I got a compound fracture in my arm where the bones came all through, and I've had 3 surgeries. And Uncle Joe, this hurts so bad. I got to take this pain medication so I can take it. But when I do that, I can't be a student. What am I going to do? And see, no goddamn pervert is supposed to be allowed to do that to women. And they let these sick bastards come in there, and assholes who are part of this initiate group, this cult. Pride up, goddammit, and be proud of what you are. You got no business for that shit. I'm sorry. What about all the black people that wanted to be white? I feel like I'm white. I want to do what Michael Jackson does and whiten my appearance up and lose my nose when it goes necrotic from so many operations. Yeah, you can be sick like that, but you can be proud. You say, hell, I'm proud of being a man. I know it's dangerous. And you know what the punks don't want? See, if you're a real man and you got inculcated, the goddamn Titanic is sinking. It's in the middle of the North Atlantic. It just hit a damn iceberg. There's no rescue at hand and not enough lifeboats. You got to have the cojones to say, ma'am, come take my seat in the lifeboat. I will drown or freeze first, but you got my seat. And these punks don't want to man up.
No, they're not doing that. They would jump in the lifeboat.
Men are supposed to be on the wall. Women don't get up there until the last need. And we're supposed to die to protect womanhood and promote manhood so the next generation will do the same thing for their women and children.
Right.
And you take these son of a bitches when they try to fake their way into the lifeboats, snatch them out, throw them on the other side of the sinking ship to chum the waters for the sharks if it's in the tropics so they eat them and leave the good folk alone in the boats.
So do you think that gay people and trans people are born that way, or is it something that happens when they come into the world?
You're born black, aren't you?
Yeah. That's true.
You don't have any option, do you?
I do not.
You can see that shit because it's obvious. You can't hide it.
Right.
All they got to do is keep the goddamn mouth shut and act like a man and just take it. Hell, it's hard being a man. They're trying to cop out so they can get all the benefits. But no, they don't have hormonal rages. They don't have monthly periods. They don't have migraine headaches. They don't go through the change and have menopause. They don't suffer through 9 months of pregnancy and the birth pains. They don't do any of that goddamn shit. That's why we put women on a pedestal. They don't do that, so what the fuck are they doing? They can't claim it. And they're copping out on their obligations as men to protect and serve the people. Then you get this crap. The hood rats are famous for this one. Hey, man, there ain't no daylight at the end of my tunnel, man. Why I got to worry about that? I'm going to be dead before I'm 24. No, you little jackass, man the hell up. If you're a man and there's no daylight at the end of your tunnel, it's your duty to go kill off the fire-breathing Gila monsters that are setting flames to the tunnel and creating all the smoke so nobody can see the daylight. And it's your job to get your people to the damn end. Even if you die in the process, at least you'll be a hero because you don't have long for life. And life is a bitch, and then you die. Ain't nobody getting out this motherfucker alive. So you might as well go out doing something.
I'm just saying, but the way you speak, people do not speak. The last man I heard speak like that is my grandfather, who's deceased. I do not hear anybody speaking like that no more. That's real. That's real. That's real. You're not sugarcoating nothing. You're just putting it out there.
Let me tell you something. People walk up to me on the streets all the time. White men too. Brown men, red ones, and yellow ones. And I'm part Indian. Choctaw, registered.
Oh, wow.
So bottom line is, thank you, Judge, for speaking like a man. You made me feel better. I thought I was the only one that thought that way. And out of all the hundreds and thousands that have told me that, believe me, here's what the reality is. One of the propaganda methodologies is to convince the majority that they are a small minority by lying to them. You tell the lie long enough and loud enough, you get anybody to believe it.
True.
Now, the statistics are about 5.56 to 5.57 of this nation is LGBTQ when it comes to practice.
That's it? Just 5%?
That's it. For those 55 and over, the statistics, depending upon whose you look at, 1.5 to slightly less than 2%. But the big problem is 18 to 25, where unfortunately 16% are LGBTQ. And also there's another problem. This is the really funky one. Mm-hmm. There are more boy virgins 18 to 25 than there are girl virgins. The girls are giving it up more than the boys, but a few guys are getting it and a whole bunch aren't. That's why you got incel and all these sorry folk turning gay, because nobody's teaching them how to deal with the opposite sex. And they are scared to approach them because they got all this propaganda about offense, because you walk up to a normal woman and act like a normal man, and you are scared to do it because some freaks out there, 1 out of 100, 2 out of 100 are trying to complain about it. Right. Because they hate what they are. They hate what they want to be. And it is pathetic. See, this shit started 50 years ago, 55 years ago, when you got the lesbians who hated men, got together with the feminists who hated that they weren't men, who got together with what we'd call soy boy, beta boys, who hated it that they, even though they were white, they couldn't act like men. And you got the gay guys who were afraid of men. And then you got this huge number that went hippie, turn on, tune in, and drop out, hippie flower power assholes. And they were deep off into that love thing, and they thought war was a man thing. So the way to stop war is to change the way boys are raised to men and raise them like girls, so they would emote, cry, shout, let it all hang out instead of being so uptight and under control and letting all of the hostility and aggression build up and cause war. Man, we need to change the way everybody gets raised, man. It should be about love, man, instead of all of this manly shit, man. We need to be into that, man. You need to get high, man, so you understand, man. We got to get rid of war. And see, nowadays, you got the feminists wanting the women to be shot at in a combat unit. Okay, fine. But what does that do? You got these young men who have been bred in a society that still has a modicum of masculinity under the surface with this thin film of oily shit over top of it. And they're still biologically men, and they've got all of what Mother Nature's been putting into the masculine component of any species for 3.5 billion damn years building on. And they're supposed to be protecting their women. So now you can't have an effective combat unit if you're trying to protect somebody that's in the trench with you. So if you let them take a bullet as soon as you can, then what happens when you get back home? Domestic violence, no appreciation of womanhood, and you go around acting like a plantation Negro where you're trying to help massa out by breeding more livestock that he can barter, trade, sell, or put to work or keep away from work, which is the case now. That's what that penitentiary thing is. This country's got a big problem. Industrial technology and computerization have made obsolete a whole lot of people. So what do you do with this obsolete workforce? Well, you store them just like you do commodities, wheat, corn, or cotton, poultry, beef, pork.
Yeah.
You put it in a warehouse or a grain silo. But in this case, we use
a prison
or a jail cell. How do you get them to be that way? You glorify dysfunction so they don't develop any acumen academically or professionally or trade-wise. They have no skills. They have the wrong worldview, wrong lifestyle, wrong kind of ideation. They're running around acting like a fool. They bang out, drug out, drop out. If they're female, they get knocked up too early, too often, and they're unemployable, and they make their communities chaotic. So the community cannot act in a collective and cohesive political fashion. And when they do, the overseers are coming down talking about niggers. Remember the used part. You belongs to the slave masters. We they heirs. So you gonna vote Democratic no matter we don't do crap duty for you. But you know, and then the subsidy so they can keep going is the public assistance that goes to the females, because most states have a rule that able-bodied men cannot get any assistance.
Very
after
true.
They've run out of unemployment, which a lot of them haven't built up the work time to get. So that means you are promoting a matriarchy, which diminishes manhood. And the problem with the hood is a lack of manhood. See, all this violence is the lack of masculinity, because if you had masculine men in the hood, they'd stop this shit.
They would. They wouldn't be killing each other. If they had an issue with another man, they'd box it out, leave it at that.
Box it out. And these punk asses won't take a blow. They're going to do a drive-by.
Or if you lose the fight, then you want to come back and shoot them. That's usually how that goes.
That's a punk
thing.
You know, that's why they have this problem with the illegal aliens. You see this way of cutting back labor by putting it in your head. Hey, man, hell with that, man. I ain't flipping no buggers from no Mickey D's. I got my bitches and hoes take care of me, man. 2 of them got good jobs. One get a crazy check, and the other half will get a goddamn AFDC, man. They take care of me, man. I make them feel smooth. They give me everything. You goddamn fool. You're just duplicating a plantation mentality so you can breed and master can have more goddamn 2-legged cattle from Africa. Oh, you can barter, trade, sell, or work, or make live fallow.
Yeah, that's true stuff. So okay, so let me ask you this then. If you are a black single mother today of a son, what advice would you give to her?
I would have said 15 years ago, 20 years ago, put them in the Boy Scouts first, but I was a scoutmaster for 15 years. I just quit when they started letting openly in there. I said, that's poison. And then last year they went bankrupt because they were settling so many child molestation matters. True. And then they started putting girls in there. And I'm going, why are you putting girls in there?
You can't put girls in.
Campfire girls, brownies, and Girl Scouts, Bluebirds, and all that other crap. And
Okay.
when you man these boys up, you take them with a scoutmaster on a week-long trip to a wilderness place. And it's just them and the scoutmaster and some other Boy Scouts. The last damn thing you need is some young nubile girls running around half naked when they take showers to get out of the water at one of the creeks or the ponds, and nothing but males around there. That's a recipe for lawsuit and all kinds of chaos.
True.
And it defeats the purpose of manning these boys up. See, look at this. I like barbecue. Matter of fact, I got a barbecue line, jjbbbq.com, Judge Joe Brown Barbecue. You be the judge.com, jjbbbq.com. You can order it online, and soon it'll be at some major grocery chains and so forth. This is some good stuff. And if you live in LA, if you want to see what it tastes like, go by D's Original Takeout Grill on 79th and Western, down in the hood. It's right on the corner across from a big church.
Nice.
And it doesn't even say barbecue, but it's the best barbecue in Los Angeles, man. So try that out. You'll love it.
I'm gonna definitely have to try that.
$7.95 a bottle. You order all you want, we will get it to you, and it's there now. We have also barbecue spice that will be there shortly. We also have an addition to the regular. We've got OG and hot. I like the hot better. We've got recipes that are coming out. We've got some how-to videos on how to make greens and season them with our seasoning and our methodology, and make up barbecue beans, vegetarian style. And we have chicken links for those who don't want to eat regular meat. And we'll have some with this Beyond beef veggie stuff for vegans. And we've got a lot going. So
you got everything. You got everything covered.
We will be coming out with some cookers that you can use, some of them with charcoal and wood if you can in your area. And where you can't, propane or gas or electricity. And it's got some unique features so you can put it on. You don't have to baste it. Just leave it on for the amount of time necessary, and got some good Q.
Nice.
And vitamin Q will keep you happy and satisfied. Don't eat too much so you don't get a cholesterol problem. But we have the meatless version too, or the chicken version, which is good for you. And by the way, the chicken stuff is packed for us in the only Black run FDA licensed facility in California.
Nice.
USDA.
This is so this is Black owned from the beginning to the end.
Yes.
Nice.
So
nice.
We're doing it.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So anyway, that's just one thing. I'm doing that. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Joe Brown TV, and see, they want to limit speech to that which makes them feel comfortable, them be shame-free, but everybody else can be attacked.
Exactly. Everybody else can talk their shit, but we can't.
We can't. They can call. I mean, Twitter tried to get down in Florida, where Florida makes it a criminal offense and a civil matter with $250,000 a day imposed on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram if they block political candidates or political office holders on the state level, and $25,000 a day for local. And they came back, we want to make this a decent operation and prevent such things as hate speech. What the hell is hate speech? And guess what? Pornography. But goddamn it, you can go on Twitter.
It's porn everywhere.
Advertise some of the worst full-on freak-ass porn that you can find.
Is it true that Kamala Harris swept her way to the top?
Yeah. They used to have all these alleged articles that allege that in the LA Times over a 25-year period. She was notorious when she was in her early 20s, sleeping with Mayor Willie Brown of San Francisco. They covered how he got her a job paying, $72,000 a year 35 years ago, part-time gig working 15 hours a week with a medical facility company that had a contract with the city of San Francisco. And then when she went to 20 hours a week, she's getting paid $120,000 a month, a year for a 20-hour a week, and she's a student. Yeah, and then she got the 750i BMW that got given to her, and she just went through the whole 9 yards. And see, she's not black.
No, she's not black. I don't know why they keep saying it because she got a small percentage. She's not
she
black.
Doesn't have a small percentage.
Oh, she don't.
She keeps showing her father's grandmother. The father, who is a college professor and wrote the article, says that grandmother was a Hindu house servant. So the only thing he has in him is Hindu and some Irish.
So she's Indian.
The Irish came in because they owned some plantations and they owned slaves. And the other thing is, well, she's from Jamaica. But you see, Jamaica was part of the British Empire. As a matter of fact, they still have a governor general who represents the Queen, who has to agree to the installation of any prime minister. He can't stay in execution and issue pardons or commutations. He lives in a palace in Kingston. Wow. And you got a prime minister, and they represent the British government. Now, it's part of the Commonwealth. It used to be part of the empire. So you have people from Hong Kong, Singapore, Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, Pakistan, India, Kenya, part of Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda, and all kinds of other places that were part of the British Empire. See, so I know one guy, he's got a beautiful daughter, drop dead gorgeous, and her mother is born in Jamaica citizen, but she's blonde-haired, blue-eyed, as are her parents who were born in Jamaica. But the parents are, guess what? English nobility.
Oh.
Just happened to be born when they were checking on their Jamaican properties. So you go to St. Elizabeth Parish and you get a whole bunch of folk that look high, bright like me, and a lot of white ones down there. So you have people, hey man, you gonna go to get the Fosters? No, you gonna get a red stripe, man. And the guy that's talking to you is Asian and he's from Hong Kong. Or his parents are.
And I'm glad you said that, because I don't know why, like, people are so closed-minded. They think that because it's Jamaica, everybody there is black with dreadlocks. It's like, no,
it's not. And you know what she actually is? You know what the anthropological term is for what Kamala Harris and her mother and her father are mostly?
What's that?
Aryans.
Oh, wow.
See, you tell a lie long enough, loud enough, you get everybody to believe it. The Aryan Brotherhood, the Aryan Nation, etc. The Nazis believed that Aryans were blonde-haired, blue-eyed from the far north. No, they were from India, and they were swarthy to dark skin with dark hair, dark eyes. The technical name for what Kamala and her family are is called Indo, I-N-D-O hyphen Aryan.
Wow. Because don't they believe that?
By the way, the birth certificate is interesting that they've got out there, because my ex-wife was born in that hospital in the same 12-month period. Okay. And for mother, it says race Caucasian, even though she's dark, but she's classified as an Aryan Caucasian. See, we keep confusing white and black for Negrito, Negroid, African, and Caucasian. See, Aboriginals in Australia, who are as dark as any black man from Africa, are classified as Caucasians. Oh. So are Pakistani, and so are Indians. You see, so that lie's been told loud and long. But you see, for the mother, race, she lists Caucasians. It does not list the country. For the father, the country is blank too. And for race, it says Jamaican. Now, what she was trying to do is, I think that was a duplicate, because as she has in copies of her yearbook that are circulating, She says, I have enjoyed my experience in Canadian schools from kindergarten, K through 12. And she's indicating that she got a scholarship to Howard University. So I guess she sent that in, and they, ignorant as they can be at Howard,
Saw Jamaican and
they gave her a scholarship, and there are allegations from credible sources, allegations that she was frat stuff at a certain fraternity and everybody was banging it.
wow. Oh, she got gang banged?
Lie about it and said, I was in the dorm smoking a joint, listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg. Now, they're about the same age, so that would have made them recording at 9 years old. If you do the math,
right?
Yeah, sure, you're lying, heifer. She made a career off of jamming up black folk. At one time, allegedly, the Justice Department was on her ass about giving the stiffest sentence recommendations for simple possession of marijuana in the United States. Now that nefarious distinction lies right here where I am in Memphis, where they have a counterpart in there. She's a lesbian, allegedly, and she's a woman. And I know from when she first started, she's a crook. I'll tell you about a case she tried to pull off on me. But anyway, come Queen La Imhoff, Mrs. Imhoff. You know who Mrs. Imhoff is, don't you?
No, sir. No, sir.
That is Kamala Harris's married name. So we have Mrs. Hillary Clinton, Mrs. Nancy Pelosi, Mrs. Sarah Palin, who ran for vice president, but we got Miss Harris instead of Mrs. Imhoff. What's the matter? She's married to a rich Hollywood lawyer. Are we supposed to hold it against her and that she adopted his 2 children and she doesn't have any of her own?
Which is strange to me. It's very strange.
Yeah, but you see, she's trying to hide it. She's pandering to these feminists who want to tell you that marriage is a form of slavery. Is that what it is? Well, hell, at least hyphenated, heifer, Harris-Imhoff. Why you want to put your house drone, you know, if you, and she's likely to wind up president. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that senile Biden is going to retire, citing medical reasons, because they're trying to give him a face-saving a way out by saying he's getting senile. They're calling for him to have cognitive tests. So if he resigns and Kamala Imhoff becomes president, guess who is vice president under the 20th Amendment? Nancy Pelosi, also from San Francisco. Is that not enough to make you want to puke?
So all this shit is rigged then. That just means that all this shit is rigged. Like when we vote, it really don't mean nothing.
Billy trailer park piece of trash who was proud. And by the way, they say I heard him say that in 77. I heard him say it in 72, 73. I was an intern at a DC think tank in 72. 73, 4, I was going back because I met this woman down there in Wilmington, Delaware, Dover, Delaware, and I'd go travel down there.
Do you think?
Anyway, and I heard this bastard get introduced by James O. Eastland from Mississippi as our latest true, quote, yellow dog Dixiecrat, unquote. And what I heard him say was not what's in that news article that they are putting around from 77. He said Negro children are like roaches. If you let them integrate our schools, they will infest them and you will never get them out. Negroes are animals and they turn our streets into jungles. If I'm elected to help out Senator Eastland from Mississippi, I promise that the 2 of us will put them in zoos and make our streets safe again. He went on in that speech to talk about how proud he was to be from Delaware because Delaware was a proud slave-owning state before the Civil War, though he wanted to badmouth it for not going with the South and staying with the Union, and said it was not appropriate for them to get intimidated just because they were so close to West Point, Annapolis, and D.C. All right, they should have gone with the South. But because he was there from Delaware and because of its slaveholding history, he knew the Negro. He knew how Negroes thought. He was saying that 49 years ago. And the bottom line is that he always says something stupid like that. Now, people get on him about the 94 crime bill. That wasn't the worst. The 91 was bad. The 87 was pathetically putrid. The 81 was pure poison, and the 77 was bad. The 77 set in place stuff where the U.S. Attorney's Office can maliciously persecute somebody with no chance of getting a conviction, but for the purpose of bankrupting them so they can't fight back, particularly when it came to whistleblowers of people they thought should be suppressed. The 81 was the one that came up with one rap, you get 5 years, and they got footage of that bastard up in Congress talking about that. And he's always said Negro. When he was saying it in 72, black folk hadn't called themselves Negro for 5 or 6 years. It was black switching to Afro-American.
Okay.
Now, what is this he just got through saying with his lame ass bastard self? If you don't vote for me, you're not
you
black.
ain't black,
You
yeah.
asshole. You can't question my black credentials, and I'm smarter than your dumb fake ass anyway. I went to a better law school, and I didn't get jacked up for plagiarism either.
But they still voted for him. So why do you think black folks still voted for somebody that was blatantly disrespectful?
Are just drifting back to the slave plantation where so many feel comfy. They don't have to think. They get told what to do. The kennel master / overseer drifts them out and say, here, boy, go fetch. Here's a milk bone. Good boy, good boy. Roll over. Oh, let me change your flea collar.
Damn.
If you look at these things, it is absolutely insulting.
It is, and it's right in our face.
That slave collar. See, you can take the collar off of a dog, but you still got a dog. You don't have a wolf. You see, if you capture a wolf and he gets loose, chews the rope through, he's a wolf again. But for our folk, you take the dog collar, the slave collar off, you still have a slave.
And the bad thing is if you go against it, because I remember in social media, if you were not voting for Biden, you got dragged. Like you got dragged.
Well, so what? You saw the high percentage of black men that did not vote for Biden and voted for Trump. And remember, Trump used to hang with all the rappers and celebrities back in the 90s. And you know he was engaged to this black model for a while before he married his current wife. He used to take her everywhere. Red carpet. He didn't have any shame. And she was, God, she dropped dead gorgeous.
Wow. I didn't know about the black fiance. I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah, man. Whoa.
Damn, I ain't no Donald Trump. But you know what though? I'm glad you spoke on that because I just feel like Your Honor, we live in a society where everybody is afraid to just say this is how I feel, and that's what it is. And when it came to the election, I feel like a lot of people were bullied to vote a certain way.
They stole that, by the way.
Talk about it.
Let me say this. Memphis and Shelby County, where I live, installed some deball voting machines in the year 2000 that relied upon Windows 2000, but they did not put a firewall or a security system in. It still relies upon Windows 2000, no security system, no firewall. 2004, the Justice Department under George W. Bush came here and said the machines were corrupted. They were hacked irretrievably. Software change wouldn't do any good. They did that in 2006, and in 2008, the last year that
what, Obama?
George W. was in.
Oh, George W. Okay.
they put the money up to replace every machine. 2009, they didn't replace it. 2010, they didn't replace it. They had 3 black Democrats who voted against it every time it came up in the county commission. They were term limited, so it didn't stay the same. All they had to do was, we, the below signed county commissioners, hereby resolve to replace the D-ball voting machines. That's all it took, sign. Couldn't get a majority, even though the majority were Democrats and black. Couldn't get them. But anyway, the Justice Department under Obama came in and said these machines are corrupted. All you need is a cell phone, and you use the encryption code, which I know, I published it so people will see that it's been out there for the last 10 years. California threw all theirs away, so did Hawaii, so did Ohio. And California published an online pamphlet, which you can't get now, telling you how to hack the stuff. All you did was just type in the figures in the encryption code and the code for the various positions you were interested in, and the candidate number, assign the percentage as a text. I could draft it to you. And when I got ready to vote, before I put my card in, I had my phone in my pocket so nobody could see me, and just press send. Now I own that machine. I own every machine in the precinct in 10 minutes and everyone in the countywide system in 45 minutes to an hour. So anyway, recently, the Justice Department threatened to sue all of these county commissioners individually if they didn't spend the money. So they did. They bought brand new machines. But do you know where these brand new machines have been for the last 4 election cycles? In a damn warehouse, and they've used the corrupted, hacked machines for the presidential and the federal election, and for the state and county election before that. So these machines are guaranteed hacked. So you mean to tell me that they didn't use them?
Of course they did.
Of course. Hey, I know they do this. One time when we got our first black mayor, Dr. W.W. Harrington, ever, he was elected in 1991. Well, there's a provision in Tennessee law that says you can request a state judge, me, and another state judge, the late James Swearingen, act as official election witnesses. So we go over to the election commission, and the thing is, well, I don't know what happened, but it was supposed to be recorded on a CD, but that thing is lost. But we do have the paper record, and it's showing that Dr. Harrington lost by 94 votes. Oh, hell. So a black janitor walked up to me and Judge Swearingen. We had our uniformed bailiffs with us. I said, you gentlemen is looking for something to look like a little silver record about like that? I said, well, yes, sir, we are. Well, I don't want to say nothing, but see that desk over there on the left, the second drawer down? I saw some people put one of those up in there. I said, can you identify them? And he pointed them out. I had one of my bailiffs go over and bring him back. I said, look, let me put it this way. If somebody refreshes his recollection instantly and goes retrieves the DVD that's missing from that desk, the second drawer down, we will forget about it. Otherwise, Judge Swearingen and I agreed that a $250,000 bond per person would be appropriate. Now, do you want to have somebody make this bail bond, or do you want to refresh your recollection? Damn it, Judge, I just suddenly remembered. That seems to be right where it is. This Judge Swearingen won by 138 votes. I think on a recount it was 124. And he got elected to 5 terms, and he actually got a handle on the police department by telling the directors of police, you don't correct this and let civil service work it out after you fired the fool in question. You will be fired before you get home, and you can find out about it on the local news. So he went through 6 or 7, and it got so good that after a while, I remember when I came back to Memphis to, you know, from the show to just check on the house I still have here. That's where I am right now. I saw some little old ladies that I knew. They were standing on a corner with a tray with a coffee thermos and a box of donuts. I said, ladies, what are you doing? Oh, hi, Judge Brown. So what you doing? Well, we just out here waiting for the officers on patrol so we can give them coffee and donuts. The relationship had gotten that good. I mean, the police even made an announcement. We are no longer going to crack down on folk for minor equipment violations. They need to get to work and earn their money. So they threatened to cut the police pay if they didn't raise more money for the city. So they just said, screw it. They set up 15-car roadblocks, pull everybody over and get everybody pissed off and would apologize. We don't want to do this, but they're making us do this. We understand. See, that was good police relations. So now they drafted me to be mayor in 2023. I'm going to run JJB in 23 for Memphis, Tennessee. But you know what, this jackass white fool that they've got in, not just because he's white, but because he's a damn loser. The white folk call him the poppin' fresh doughboy. For the first time in 40 years, nominates and gets approved at this majority black city council, the first chief of police in 40 damn years, who is civil service that you can't fire. So, in effectively taking control of the police department away from the civilian sector and leaving it to a chief who she can do what she wants to. Now, she got discharged from Atlanta allegedly for corruption. She got
and then went up to Memphis,
North Carolina, allegedly for corruption. And this corrupt ass city council, for the most part, hires somebody as civil service chief who cannot be removed. Oh, hell no. So I got a plan, which is basically, I think it would work all across the country. See, like the Pentagon is under complete civil control. You have the civilian secretary of defense, civilian secretary of Navy, Army, Air Force, etc. The commander in chief, the president, is a civilian. Well, you have the mayor of the civilian at the top. You have a director who would be director of police. And then each department that has a sub-captain or sub-chief, you would also have a civilian head. So instead of having ineffectual review boards that don't do crap except bitch and moan, what you have is civilian control of the police department, and the civilians are involved in the day-to-day management, operation, strategy, and tactical usages that you put the police department to. A program I want to set up, get away from these poisonous, privatized juvenile courts who have a vested financial interest in making these children come back over and over again to generate business, is instead of taking juveniles down to juvenile court, if their records reveal that they are suitable, just having a contract with the parents and the child and the police department so that the child goes through 6 weeks, 6 months, or even a whole year of counseling, rehabilitation, man up programs. And if he successfully passes it, just don't file the charges. So that way these poisonous asses won't get their clutches in these children. So, you know, that's the thing. Have sub precincts involve block commanders with, you know, police communications to get into calling stuff down, to do something to get these unmanly little girled up creeps calling themselves thugs who want to go and terrorize their neighborhood for no good cause.
Yeah.
Jack them up. We can take control again and we can have some peace. This city sits by the Mississippi River. Everywhere else in the country, they're trying to get hydroelectric power by tapping somebody's dam or putting a dam in the dam up a river. They don't have to do that. The mighty Mississippi River ain't going anywhere for a few million years. And right here, the main continental valley crosses the main continental river. Mississippi, and I-40 is the main transcontinental thoroughfare, and this is the distribution center of the country. So why in the hell don't we get this free hydroelectric power, bring in industry? Europe is trying to come directly here instead of to the East Coast where there's pilferage, payoff, storage fees at a high rate, and you have to run through customs. Well, they can load up barges in Europe, put them on barge transports, get them to the port of New Orleans.
So speaking of things that are not cool to say, I wanted to switch gears a little bit. I wanted your opinion on this high value man culture that, I mean, I hear everybody saying high value man, high value man. In your opinion, is that something that Black people even need to be worried about?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about it.
Judge, how can you talk about me? My household, we get 150,000. How much do you make? I make about 25 or 30. My woman bring in 120. Well, brother, you half stepping.
True.
See, high value man is not pretty boy. He's not slick. He's the alpha male who's making it happen. And alpha males breed up by getting beautiful women, and beautiful women breed up as alpha women by getting alpha males. But you see, we got this thing where we get to talking about, no, man, that ain't top quality, brother. That's just slick. He ain't doing nothing. He's a drone, houseboy, a boy toy. See, if you're talking about real man, herd bull, yeah, that's cool. But you see, it's a pyramid.
Okay.
Top of the pyramid, there's very little up there. The base of it, there's a whole lot, but it's all mixed in, even if there's a pyramid top type in there. So the pyramid top type have a harder time finding somebody on their level.
That makes sense.
If you're at the bottom, you got all kinds like you. You might even like Lizzo the fat lizard.
Oh man.
You might be ideating about being a pimp and got the hots for Cardi B, who is an acknowledged street walking hoe who talks about how she drugged her tricks and robbed them, which you ought to send her to the penitentiary for.
Drugged and robbed.
America.
Man, I'm still trying to figure out how R. Kelly's in jail, Bill Cosby's in jail, but Cardi B is free. I'm trying to figure that out. It don't make no sense. And you can't even bring it up. Like she literally said, I drugged dudes, robbed them, and I did that to pay for studio time. So her whole career.
I would have given her ass maximum time under the sentencing guidelines if that had been in front of me on a guilty plea or a guilty verdict.
Did you know she actually threatened to rape men too? She said if you cheat on her, she gonna get you drunk, drug you, and she gonna have a transgender come in and fuck you.
I know, she said that. That also is felonious. In Tennessee, that's a minimum of 15 years.
I don't understand how people overlook that. And so, what are your thoughts on Lil Nas X and that whole Dancing with the Devil video that had everybody going crazy? I already know what you're finna say.
I don't give a flying fuck. You know, like black folk, let me get back to pride.
Yes, sir.
LGBT has floats where they got folks showing black or gay pride. And they got on black leather chaps with their dicks hung out, bare asses out, oil down, and they have children watching this. They have each other down on all fours, half naked with dog chains around their necks and collars. For black folk, that would be like having a black pride parade, and most of the people are dressed up like slaves doing harmonica and banjo music dances and black-faced as minstrels and playing dressed up like little monkeys with silver chains as an organ grinders doing his thing. Well, did you see what happened in Oklahoma when they were trying to make a party out of that disaster, Black Wall Street, where they had those Negroes buck dancing to harmonica and banjo music, doing so-called slave dances, which were commemorating something in 1920 when they most definitely weren't doing that.
Right.
And buck dancing down the street and making a celebration and a party out of a disaster, a tragedy that ought to have been observed quietly and in dignity, and promised never again.
No.
What's wrong with these damn fool Negroes doing that? Buck dancing, trying to get turnout to vote. Take your booties to the poll. And they got half of the people by name, when you look them up, that were in that thing, they were drag queens. And that's supposed to be how to get black men to the poll, showing strippers on a pole, showing bare ass and twitching and twerking. You know, like,
just incredibly disrespectful.
Here? Why do we got to get into buck dancing and everything in commemorating of that? So I don't give a damn about some of this shit because what did I say? 50 years of glorification of dysfunction, and this is an example of it.
So how does a black family repair themselves today? If a black man and a black woman want to have a marriage, a family, and they want to make it work, how do they do it, and how do they rear their children so that they're not so influenced by media?
The secret is K through 12. You bust your ass kindergarten through the 12th grade. Your parents insist that you do it. Sit you down. Make sure you do your homework. No video games or anything until you finished your homework. No limo renting because you have just moved from kindergarten to the 1st grade or from the 6th grade to middle school, which is nothing. To focus on the essentials, start setting examples, have peace in your household, and stop fighting over who's going to wear the damn pants in the household, and start showing authority, dignity, focus, dedication, and order to your children, and maybe you'll get someplace. If they're boys or girls, please put them in martial arts at an early stage so they can get somebody in charge who will not take any crap and who they're halfway scared of because they want to learn martial arts. And here is the sensei, kick mama's ass, daddy's ass. So they listen and take martial arts yourself. Learn to shoot. Teach your children to shoot. Don't buy them bling. Don't let them do something because everybody's doing it. If everybody's doing it and they tell you that's why they're doing it, want to do it, forbid it. Nope, you better come up with something better. As long as you're talking about everybody's doing it, I will guarantee that you will not get rewarded for that.
Yeah. Do you think we got to go? Well, we never let it go, but do you think we need more spankings or less spankings? Or what do you think?
Spare the rod, spoil the child. And you know what the spankings are about?
There used
to be a lot of stuff out. No, there used to be a lot of stuff out there that could kill you. Still can. You get run over by a car, hit, get in an accident, play with something you shouldn't have played with. So when you spank the child, you put artificial pain on him that hurts, but it's far less than what would happen if he kept going and doing what he wanted to do. So now you got him thinking, I shouldn't do that. And you see, there's this other thing. Hamburgers, steaks, pork chops, bacon, roast, chicken, fish, seafood. We eat anything that was once alive on this planet we choose to eat because we are the apex predator. We kill better than any other animal that has been on this planet. That beast is in us. It evolved. That makes us what we are. We are cunning pack hunters. We even do pretty well individually. So that being the case, you cannot ignore that. And that beast gets out of control. It can be taught and learn how to sit in frozen climate conditions for hours waiting for the game to come by and then kill it. It can go through all kinds of hardship in a jungle covered with slime to kill the enemy. It can take wounds. It can battle it out. It can take hardship. Hell, you ever played football? You know what that's about when you're slamming into somebody every damn play, or at least you're supposed to.
Right.
So you tough it out. So that kind of thing, you can't be light on. Johnny, don't do that. Johnny, please, mother's upset. Mother will cry if you don't stop. I'll take a time out, Mama. 15 minutes. I feel like doing it. It's not how it works.
Right.
Boy, don't move. Hold it. Freeze. And if you'd stepped 2 feet further, you would have been run over by this car that was speeding down the street. Okay. See, that's what discipline is about. I don't wanna. Slam. Oh my God, they killed my baby.
Damn. Discipline, structure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and see what you guys are missing. My crew, he bragged about, man. I remember, man, when I was up, man, my old man beat my ass to death. Oh yeah, man. I understand. I remember when my old man, I was trying to talk shit. The next thing I knew, man, like, what am I doing looking up at these lights? And then I got to wondering how I got on the floor. And I said, he knocked me out. My old man knocked my ass out. I better be careful of that. So you listen. See, when I was a child, there was a burglar broke in the house. My old man had done boxing in the Army. He knocked this dude out. The guy was out cold still when the police got there.
Dang.
See, I wasn't gonna fuck with him for the rest of my life. You know, I listen.
I wouldn't either. Wouldn't either. Like, nah. Wow.
So, I mean,
but we don't have men like that no more. We don't have men like that.
Oh,
no
we
more.
do. But they're suppressed.
Okay.
Believe me, the people that you think are non-existent, I'd say 90 out of 100 men in this country are like that, but they don't think they are. That's a propaganda attack. You have them thinking about there's nobody like me anymore, but there are. See, that is the lie that is being told us.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen the shit they're doing right now, these public service announcements where they have children's cartoons and kids going, I've got a wonderful family. I've got 2 mothers. Oh, I have such loving dads. I've got 2 of them. And you look at Wade. Yeah. My wife wears the pants in the family. Well, your piss poor specimen of a son wears a dress. You wear a kilt to be like him. I guess your crazy ass wife is the only one wearing pants in the family.
But you know what?
To be impressed, man, the fuck up.
But you know what though?
Well, when he was 2, he said he wanted to be a girl. God damn.
But he wasn't even like that at 2. Something happened when the parents broke up.
That wife of his, not the mother of the child, but the wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you teach by example. And it's like, how is somebody going to make a choice as to what they want to be, assuming you get past the self-hate aspects of it? You ain't even had a hard on, or if your girl, your pussy ain't even got wet the first time. So how the hell are you gonna decide what you want?
They said he went in the book and he told them, okay, this is what I think I am, and they kind of just went with that. That's the story they tell us.
Time immemorial, mothers and them, but boy, take your mama's shoes off. Those are for girls. Act like a man. I see my generation. Boy, what's wrong with you? Act like a man, boy. You better act like a man. Men don't do that, boy. Get up. Your feelings ain't hurt. That didn't hurt. Get up. Boys don't cry over something like that. Boy, act like a man. What's the matter? You got pink panties on, boy? Or do you got drawers on like a man? And then you know how the coaches, what the hell's wrong with you? You titty blocking? What's the matter with you? Hit that man. Hit the dummy. Come on, man. Get in there. Hit him. And then the drill sergeant, what's the matter, mister? I remember an officer and a gentleman from Oklahoma. Only thing in Oklahoma is queers and steers. Which one are you?
Wow. See, they call that abusive now if you talk like that. That's considered abuse.
Oh, the hell with these little punk partner fools with pink panties on. Man, the hell up. What you're designed for is to take a goddamn stick with a rock on the end of it, get together with your homies, have a summertime barbecue, and you got to kill something weighs 16,000 pounds in order to have some meat. Or to go kill a 1,500-pound bison that is deadly intent on doing you in. Or late at night when the big cats decide they want a midnight snack, you got to kill them so they don't kill the ones you love.
Right.
What the hell you mean we're supposed to be so soft and sensitive?
That's what they bred. I mean, even my generation when we was in school, that kind of bravado was not allowed. And like, as a matter of fact, when I think about it, school, like even the way it's ran, is really like for little girls. It ain't really for boys. You know what I mean? Because like, you can't run around. You can't really exert your aggressiveness. They took away recess. We ain't have none.
And see, when I was a substitute teacher for junior high and high school for the LA City school system, way back 50-some years ago, putting myself through law school, they told us if there's a fight on the yard, walk over to it real slowly so they can work it out.
And they told us when we was in school, if you fight, we're taking you to jail.
I know. Oh, my God. We have to join together, the parents and the faculty and the police to stop this bullying and the online bullying. Why, this poor child killed himself because he was bullied online. Oh, goddamn, let him take his weak ass out.
Right.
Before you waste any more food and time on him. If he's that damn weak.
Because the thing is, when it comes to cyberbullying, turn your phone off, turn your computer off.
Yes, I mean, as bad as people talk about me sometimes, like, what the fuck? Fuck you, motherfucker. Say it to my face.
They won't, and they're not. they will not. The shit people say online, they would never say this stuff to people's face.
I know they're cowards, and they get back. See, that's what they're habituated to. And see, the other thing is again, hey man, I don't want to say nothing about your mama, man, but you know,
right?
They too weak for that. Now everything is a participation ribbon because you don't want to hurt somebody's self-esteem, little sorry fuck. And you can't be much of a man if you don't know how to take care of a bully. I mean, hey, sometimes it takes that flash of bravery to say, I'm gonna get my ass whipped badly, but I'm gonna bust this motherfucker right in his mouth. And when he's nursing his split lip, he might not fuck with me again. And you bust him in his mouth. Maybe you'll surprise yourself and kick his ass. It happens all the time.
True.
The guy carrying the books looked like a nerd, beat the shit out of the guy that held himself out as the campus bad man. Seen it happen a whole bunch.
Yeah.
That's why I say put your children in martial arts. Oh man taught me how to box way back when. I knocked out, literally, principal, what do you mean you knocked him out? He knocked the boy out. We found him unconscious. Said, I still have big hands, you know. I used to. What'd you cut him with? My knuckles. But you're only in the 6th grade. Old man taught me how to do it. So fuck with me if you want to. I will whip your ass.
Literally. Yeah. No, yeah, we need to get back to that. You're absolutely right. Because you can tell a bully, please don't take my lunch money. They're going to fuck you up more.
You know this club.
Where's my whistle?
You know this clubhouse bullshit where
right.
You look, they got the little gay rainbow flag hidden in there. I was going to do this. It was men bullying men. And some fool, when I tuned in, was going, men need to give love to each other. If you just give a bully love, he won't bully you anymore. He'll be your friend. Oh, fuck no.
No, that's not how that works.
No, that's not how that works. You got to start from day one with his child's in the crib to say, act like a man, be a man. Do man things the manly way, and you got to say it bunches of times an hour, and you got to show him, because it's awful hard to say, ma'am, take my seat in the lifeboat. I'm going to drown so you can be safe.
You really do. But what about the men that realize that they've been raised the wrong way, and let's say they're in their 30s? Like, what do they do?
Start reading. Enroll in a martial arts class. And you don't want one that's trying to teach you pretty moves. You want one that's trying to teach you how to fight, because it's not all the tricks you know. It's basically who's going to hit the hardest, the fastest, who's going to be able to take a punch and who can't. Take some martial arts from a real good instructor who's not got a bunch of children in the class where they've got some grown folk. Find somebody who teaches stuff to cops and professional bodyguards and such like, so you can learn to fight and become confident. Learn to hit hard. Pump some iron. Don't try to be pretty, but just get stamina and strength. Get that in there.
Yeah, get active. Absolutely.
You know, get all the dirty, nasty shit. I've been taking martial arts for 55 years. I taught my friend how to shoot. He taught me martial arts. So we've been brothers, so to speak, for 55 years. He passed this year at 74.
Oh, wow.
Black Belt magazine for years called him probably the most dangerous human alive in North America. Now, you're talking about a real bad man. He had as his coach, Bruce Lee's coach.
Wow.
This gentleman died, and they had the funeral. some of the young hotshots were talking about why you got this Negro here. And the old hands say, wait a minute, Bruce Lee was not this man's number one pupil. This is the only one he taught everything to. I saw this man's name is Dr. Clifford Stewart bench press 480 pounds when he was 19 and did 5 reps. Cliff got chubbier as he got older, but he was like 6'4" and about 280 when he was 19.
Damn.
And
Wow.
he had the fastest reflexes I've ever seen. My ex-wife knocked a coffee cup off of the table at a restaurant. There were 5 other people there. He didn't even look at it, caught it by the handle with his 2 fingers, put it back on the table, didn't spill a drop. Everybody said, damn, Cliff, that was some impressive shit.
Right.
Now, to make a long story short about black men, we are going through LAX on the way to New York for a conference. We're flying together.
Mm-hmm.
He was then going on to his condo in Prague, Czech Republic. His housekeeper had said she needed fabric softener. So he stuffed 2 duffel bags full of boxes of fabric softener sheets, you know, bounce and all that stuff. So he put as much as he could in his carry-on backpack. So we go through there, and this guy with TSA wants to know why he's got so much fabric softener and why he is traveling on to Prague. So Cliff goes, can't a black man take fabric softener to his condo in Prague? So the guy said, I don't like your attitude. I'm calling the police. So stand over there. So I went and stood with him. LAPD shows up, right? This white guy and this Asian guy. So as they walk by, I noticed the white guy looks over and nods at Cliff. Okay. He gets up to the TSA times and what seems to be the problem, sir? TSA guy says, this big guy's got an attitude problem that needs to be adjusted. Well, who are we talking about, sir? That's him, that big guy over there in the tan shirt. And the Asian guy started over the white guy, grabbed him by the arm and shook his head. He said, partner, you trying to get laid tonight. I want to see my wife. He said, just stay still. He said, look, sir, that man is the one you got the problem with. He said, look, there aren't enough police in this airport to make that man do anything he does not want to do, even if we shoot him. You are looking at the next thing to a real live Superman.
Wow.
He said, you're on your own. So he stopped, turned back and said, you know, if I were you, I'd make him smile. So his partner wants to object. He says, come on, man, let's go. We're out of here. He took 10 more steps, turned around and said, remember, make him smile. And they just left this dude. There was this black basketball team walking through. They were collegiate. They heard it. They went on. So the guy said, I guess I ought to make you smile. And said, yeah, that'd be good. So we're walking out B Concourse over there at Delta. And all of these guys are outside at one of these little pubs where you can eat outside of the place. That's him, man. That's him. LAPD said, he's so bad, all you do is make him smile. So he was high-fiving everybody. But see, black men can do that.
Yeah.
And I used to work for him. This is another story. He and a guy named Ron Chappelle, Dr. Ron Chappelle, they were deep into martial arts. I got into it too. And we ran a playground at Trinity Avenue Elementary School in Los Angeles. That was probably the worst neighborhood in LA at the time. And we had all these gangsters and thugs and everything. I mean, real gangsters, not this street bullshit.
Right.
It was like 1967, 68, and the gangs had disappeared after the LA riot. Everybody got peaceful off of that. But the neighborhood was rough. And the prior 3 playground directors had been run off. 1 sent to the hospital. 2 of them got their cars burned up. So Cliff became the youngest playground director for the LA City school system. So we recruited the neighborhood. They saw we could kick all kinds of ass and I always carried a pistol. So we got friendly, and they helped out the playground and make sure nothing went wrong. We worked out something with the police command authority. We had a radio station we operated. I was the DJ. We sold hot dogs. We took 200 kids, just the three of us, after we got dropped off downtown LA to the movies, and we'd get in free of charge every Wednesday because we kept these 6-year-olds through 14-year-olds so quiet that the patrons didn't even know they were in there. Well, we had two interesting students to show you the contrast. One is the late singer Barry White. He was a skinny little 12-year-old on the playground.
Wow.
And his mother cooperated with us when we were trying to get him out of the swamp, and it developed he had a talent for singing, though he didn't do that then. So he got out. There was another gentleman that was a hyper intelligent kid. We really had hope for him, but his mama wanted the check, so she didn't want him out. So he couldn't get out of the swamp. He just became the baddest ass alligator in the swamp. He founded the Crip gang, and he became the last person. Well, maybe they've executed one person since, but I think he was the last person to get executed on California's death row. He was Tookie Williams.
Wow.
But he had written 6 children's books, nominated for Pulitzer Prizes on them, and the governor should have commuted his sentence to life, because in the books he was regurgitating what we were teaching him. So, yeah, that's what can happen. But I've learned a lot in the 54 years since, and I try to apply it. That's why I'm telling you this. I knew somebody, I had an African roommate in college, several actually, and they were found, 2 of them were from Nigeria. They were Yoruba, and my great-grandfather was a Yoruba district sub-chieftain who got kidnapped after the slave trade was over in 1808. They had to set him free, but that's a long story. So my grandfather was the first kid that he had. My grandfather was born in 1850. He died in 1951 at 101 years old. He and another brother murdered 2 deputy sheriffs who had participated in the lynching of another brother, and they had to flee the state. And my grandfather put his age back 15 years when he was 35, and went to medical school and practiced medicine for 50-some years, 51 years. And Alex Haley's grandfather was one of his medical partners. So anyway, that's an interesting story. But the point of it all is you have to have a dedication that runs down through families of being about the people. They used to call that being a race man. Now I don't know what the hell they call it. It's just being a man. So you have these dichotomies that go on between those that don't get it and then the men in the neighborhood that impose it. But we don't have any men in the neighborhood because 50 years ago, 54 years ago, like in California, there was no tuition to go to a public university or college. None. Now,
talk about it.
You an arm and a leg, and you're high in hock for 10 years if you can get a job to pay it off. But it was a national defense imperative them to get people through because there was a Cold War going on, and science and knowledge were important. So a lot of people escaped. Nickerson Gardens in LA, it's a hellhole, been that way since it was created. I remember Cliff and I and one other guy and about 4 sisters. We couldn't get any other brothers to go with us because they were scared of the place. We were interviewing people. Brother, what the hell do I have to do to get out this hellhole, man? I got to get out. Can you get me in college? Yeah, man, we can get in college, get you some money too. What I got to do? Go see the sisters over in the rec room. They'll help you fill out the paperwork. Well, people were leaving. What it got left to was this one. This is a real person. Look here, motherfuckers. My social worker said you got to sign off on this bullshit. But let me make one thing perfectly clear up front. I ain't going to work. I ain't going to no goddamn school. I'm going to flat back, gap, get my ass knocked up and get me a bigger check. You motherfuckers can go to hell. I ain't going to no goddamn school. Now sign this shit. Hell no, we're not. Fuck you. Anyway, she died. She got shot to death along with her oldest son and one of her brothers trying to hold up a liquor store. And she
Wow.
had 16 goddamn children.
Wow.
Every one of them wound up, boy and girl, going to the penitentiary. But you see, that's what got left. And we made a mistake leaving them. And they got so happy with that safety net that came out at the end of the 60s. It was for a good purpose, and nobody had any inkling that you would get these folk who were going to flat back gap, get more babies and a bigger check, and not worrying about taking care of the kids and not being fit to be mothers, and were going to be these dysfunctional women of ill repute and corrupt the whole neighborhood and getting them to using the N-word and dog and poisoning their boys until this shit that they glorified, where you had to go deal with the lowest common denominator, and to have street cred, you had to act like a damn fool. Easy being a damn fool. You just don't deal with what you're supposed. Man, the fuck up. Protect womanhood, promote manhood, give wise guidance, and find a woman that can give you good counsel. You're a fool if you don't listen to good advisement, and you're a fool if you can't give good advisement and you got to make it into a fight. Women, sisters, if you stinking shit about you got to tear your man down to manageable pieces, you're a goddamn fool. If you're talking about, I got to find somebody to cooperate with, fine. Keep your legs closed till you get a ring on your finger. And then marry somebody so you can set up a decent household, because you need men in the household, real men, not just by yourself, because that is a hell of a load.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. It does not work.
And see, the girls need daddy too.
Yes.
Or stand in. You know why that works? Daddy, I'm going to the mall with Tamika. Can I please have $50? Baby, I just gave you 20 yesterday. Daddy, please, daddy. Here's 100. Don't bother me. Now go on, and you call when you get there. You let me know and I'll come get you. Don't you go off with those hoodlums. Yes, daddy. See, she knows how to deal with men when she grows up. The ones that ain't got daddy figure, granddad, uncle, good boyfriend, stepfather, they put hands on him. Let me tell you what I'm going to make you do. Oh,
yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah. I mean, things have switched and the women are more aggressive than the men. And it's just like, I don't know what to say.
They've had a take your daughter to work week since 1970. You ever had a take your son to work week?
I haven't heard of it.
Now, let me give you what the result is. For the last 20 years, only an approximation of 28% of each year's high school graduates have been male. Only 32% of the college undergrads are male. Only 36% of the college grad students are male. Only 44% of the workforce is male. Only a few of those 18 to 25 males are getting laid because there are more boy virgins than girl virgins. And there are more boys 30 years of age at home with a parent or parents than there are girls. And by the way, there's a new myth. Remember the thing about women not getting paid as much for the same job as men? Well, actually, the reality is it's flipped. The biggest settlements in the last 5 years relative to that is the high-tech industries have had to pay out a lot to men because women are getting paid more for the same jobs than men are.
They ain't gonna like that.
Boys?
Yeah. Where are the boys? Like what's?
They've been girled up, and they'll get mad at you if you tell them, even if they're your own flesh and blood. And then the latest one is you get fathers who tried their damnedest to be good fathers, but they had bitches for ex-wives and baby mom. Court system doesn't respect it. Too often, everybody is interested in what the guy pays out, and he can't do what he really wants for the ones that he loves. So the only thing he can do is do it for the many and maybe some of it will spill over to his own kids.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing on that is do what you can. It's sometimes impossible to do what you want to do, but do the best you can and pay your child support. And by the way, do you know what demographic in America pays its child support most regularly, most on time, and in the amounts ordered?
Be black men.
And then that asshole, that Bush Bunny mulatto half-breed from Kenya and Kansas, got up and said in 2007 that black men paid their child support worst of all. Barack Obama Tang, aka Barry Sotoro, aka Bathhouse Barry. And you know when Jesse Jackson had that open mic and he said Daddy N needs his balls cut off. Well, see, Jesse knew the truth. Matter of fact, he and I had been sitting next to each other in first class on an airplane 3 weeks before, and we had discussed it. Every year for 30 years at judicial conferences in Tennessee, when we went over the demographics, black men are at the top, absolute top, by a long way over everybody else in the country. So when that fool got up there pandering like he always does down in black folk, he was a damn liar. Jesse got mad about it. But everybody wanted to badmouth Jesse. By the way, Jesse did not sell out Dr. King. The sellout from all the sellout, remember I was the last judge on that. The sellout was the late Reverend Billy Kyles. Remember Dick Gregory recorded him. He said, "Why did you duck back in the door when you brought Dr. King out on the balcony?" He said, "I didn't want to get shot." So Dick Gregory jumped him. "How'd you know somebody's going to get shot?" "Well, under the circumstances." "No, brother, you ain't getting away from that." He played the tape.
Damn. So why did Jesse get caught with that rep then?
Because what happens is the tactic is destroy all of your viable leadership and leave you with fakes.
Gotcha.
So they're going to try to discredit me, but I mean, it's kind of hard. I got a public track record, and I'll call you goddamn liar. I don't care whether you're Jesus or the president. If you're lying, you're lying.
Yeah, point blank. Let me ask you something. When it comes to Obama, I was reading something where it said he was actually left an inheritance by his stepfather, right?
Wait a minute. Stepdaddy was one of the 10 or 12 richest men on the planet Earth when he died. He was an oil tycoon. He left everything in a trust in Indonesia. Baraki is one of the 3 equal beneficiaries. It's exempt from American law, and Business Insider reported his net income for 2018 after all expenses at $570 million on what was perhaps a $1.25 billion draw from the trust fund. Wow. See, Lolo Sotoro ran the death squads, and allegedly about 55 years ago, The Hague had a warrant out for his arrest for crimes against humanity, to wit, the mass murder of 500,000 people. He used to run the death squads for the Indonesian army. He was effectively the Heinrich Himmler in Indonesia. He was also an international vice president for Standard Oil. So Standard Oil helped set him up so they could get into Indonesian oil. Now, Indonesia may sit on top of the world's largest oil reserves. Nobody knows yet. Also, there's an interesting little side effect. Zapata Oil and Zapata Offshore Oil used to operate with Lolo Sotoro and his business on joint ventures. There's this other entity called Halliburton. Halliburton was chartered in 1946 in Oklahoma by George Herbert Walker, Uncle Herbie to President George Herbert Walker Bush. Great uncle to President George Walker Bush. And guess what? There is a gentleman named Samuel Hinckley who died in Cape Cod. His direct descendants include President George Herbert Walker Bush, President George Walker Bush, Vice President Dick Cheney, and President Barack Obama through his mama.
And that's why they're so close. That's why they're so.
Warren Buffett was one of the cousins too, as is Brad Pitt, the actor.
Oh wow, that I didn't know.
This dude had 7 U.S. presidents as direct descendants, 1 vice president, several billionaires, and a whole bunch of multimillionaires. He has some heavyweight sperm, I guess. He was a French Huguenot, and he was attempting to escape the Protestant persecution in France, so he made himself an indentured slave to get over to the American colonies. He died in 1622 in Cape Cod.
And so when you talk about stuff like that, Your Honor, when you talk about stuff like that, that's why I tell people this whole Hollywood Illuminati stuff, like all of those people come from a bloodline. Like it's
well, the Illuminati is known as LGBT.
The Illuminati is the LGBT.
That's the real one.
Wow.
Or they function that way. See, Hollywood claims 8 to 9 out of every 10 people in Hollywood are that way. Most of your actors are. Not all of them. I think Denzel's not. I think Morgan Freeman's not. I think Samuel Jackson's not.
Right.
Dave Chappelle is not. But a bunch of them, yeah. So, you know, the guy in the action movie that's going, yeah, man, we got to really put a move on it. We got to fuck them up, man. Let's go kill some son of a bitches. Well, when you see him and his homie down in the lounge area for the 5-star hotel in the trendy bar, sitting on the leather sofa, sipping Chablis and nibbling cheese and crackers, says, oh my God, you know, I really got off on that. Oh, that macho shit, man, playing that role, man. I just nutted off on that whole thing, man. You just have no idea. God damn.
Wow. Wow.
Really?
And you basically have to be down with that in order to, I mean, if you want to, I guess, have a career in Hollywood.
The casting couch is dick and butt that has a dick, and twat on twat that's got a twat.
I've said that.
It's not, see, all of these women, most of these women that are doing this hashtag Me Too shit, a lot of them were bisexual, and they tried to jumpstart their sorry ass careers. And it didn't work because apparently they couldn't act any better than they could fuck. And they were off into sex, drugs, and rock and roll, sex, drugs, baseball, basketball, football, TV, celebrity shit. And they were trying to get exposure. So later on, this Gloria Allred and her and her daughter, they talked to them, girl, it's not your fault. It's these awful men took advantage of you. Hell no. Like on that Vanity Fair thing, they had all those women that were accusing Dr. Cosby. I recognized 5 or 6 of them. Back years ago, they'd come into these Hollywood parties, or the ones that the black celebrities would give, and they'd walk in see-through, no bras on, and some hip hugger pants, and in half hour, the pants were off, and then the panties were off, and then the top was off, and they'd usually keep a belt or a gold chain on so they could say they had something on, snorting up all kinds of coke, drinking up a lot of wine, and they were screwing people on top of the coats up in the bedrooms or in the hall closets or in the bathrooms. Many people per party. And then after that, you know, I guess they got old and ugly, so they got bitter.
And then came out and said,
trial, man, that trial on Cosby, that judge was weak. He was an embarrassment. He lost control of his courtroom. He helped keep the man in longer by, instead of doing his report in 60 days, he took 9 months so Dr. Cosby would spend more time. They improperly denied him parole because he wouldn't admit to something he didn't do. Matter of fact, they never should have had half of what they had in evidence, because when that civil suit got filed, Dr. Cosby's civil lawyer said he does not need to answer these interrogatories because there's a Fifth Amendment consideration. Anything you say can and will be used in evidence against you.
Right.
So the trial judge agreed. Then the DA filed a letter and a report an affidavit with the court saying there is no intention to prosecute Dr. Cosby for any such criminal activity. So the judge said, fine. That being the case, this is a civil matter. You can be required to give evidence against yourself. You got to give this deposition. He did. So they got a new DA in that campaigned on he was going to get Cosby or she was going to get Cosby. So when the new DA got in, they said, we revoke that promise. We're going to use the deposition. You can't do that. It's against the law. Shit. So now, dragging feet on the appeal, he's been in there. He's flattened his damn sentence. He never should have been in. And at his age and his integrity, they should have just let him stay out on bond pending appeal.
I mean, he's blind. And they said now he's blind in both eyes. So it's like, what, like, why is he in there?
What the hell? That's persecution. And that judge let those half-naked women run around outside his courtroom with red lipstick on, talking about he did it, put him in jail, let outburst after outburst go on in his courtroom. He let some woman come up and talk about something that happened 51 years ago that didn't even amount to criminal activity. Yeah. And then, the drug that he's supposed to have used, Benadryl, that's no goddamn drug. That's just when you got allergies.
I got a question though, because see, I was watching back when Hugh Hefner was alive, he had a show called Girls Next Door, which basically he got away with like prostitution and nobody said nothing, but okay.
Well, yeah. Hugh is an interesting person. I have personal acquaintances with his first wife, who was a hell of a good person. She also was the first full frontal centerfold. But let me fast forward to something that's really significant about Hugh Hefner's situation. He left before he died control of the magazine to his daughter. So for 4 years, they had a hiatus on centerfolds. He died, and then she broke the hiatus. Do you know who or what she had for the first centerfold?
I don't even remember. What did she have?
A drag queen. A French black drag queen was the first centerfold. In other words, a fake. Now nobody buys Playboy because it's worthless.
Yeah, I mean, she should have just left that alone. Just let it die out.
But you see, you have a hiatus on centerfolds in the first one. You come back, and she's tried to do that every time since. She's got a drag queen in there, tranny. Wow. Transvestitism is what it was called.
They say you can't say that word no more. They said it's a bad word, but I thought it was a technical medical term. It's in
the dictionary. I'll say what the hell I want to say. God damn it, First Amendment. Now, we got to get up and say hell no. See, they used to strip magazines off the shelves because the religious right didn't like what was being said. What the fuck? 95% of the population doesn't like this shit. So let's take this shit out of here. And by the way, somebody needs to drag Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all of them in for being public forums licensed by F.C.C. to use the public airways and public electromagnetic spectrums, for being public forums and imposing censorship that is not based on pornography or obscenity, but on political and social position. They should be declared public utilities.
That is truth. That is true.
And of course, we can't get these jackasses from the jackass party that have a monopoly on their slaves to do anything. And the black LGBT surrogates known as the Black Caucus, not one of those pathetic Negroes has done a damn thing for his or her people in the last 4 or 5 decades.
Wow.
Pathetic.
Yeah, but yet the black people will still vote for them.
They feel comfy with their former slave masters.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad. Let me ask you, when you were in Hollywood, like, can you tell us some of the things?
That's why I left. They kept wanting me to go for that gay shit, and I said, no, I'm not doing it.
Oh, they approached.
Fuck you, I'm not doing it.
Oh.
See, I started off neutral, But let me tell you what they did. The show wasn't even a month and a half old, and they had a fete down at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in LA, right? So I'm a bachelor. I'm 50 years old. You know, I was dating Frida Payne at the time. You know, she and I doing a thing, but she wasn't there this time. And I'm dancing with all these starlets. I'm in my 50s, right? And I wound up running into a sister I'd gone to high school with. So we started talking, sitting at a table. She got up to go to the ladies' room. She said, when she came back, do you know that tall guy over there in the gray suit? I said, yeah. He said he walked up and offered me $2,000 that if I'd signed this note saying you were trying to cop a feel on me.
Wow.
So we went around and found all of these women that I danced with, and they told us the same thing. So we got written statements from them to that effect. Now, I hired this beautiful sister as a PR person. She's from Mississippi. She was Miss DC and then Miss America pageant. She first runner-up, youngest licensed lobbyist in Hollywood. So I paid her $250,000 to do my PR because they were trying to kill the show off so they can embezzle a lot of money.
Mm.
We came up with this fictitious woman. We invented the woman, and we did some affidavits that we filed with Human Resources, and they had a lockbox full of these affidavits detailing what they were doing. And lo and behold, after 6 weeks, these fools come up with a letter signed by this fictitious woman claiming that I'm trying to indecently proposition her so she can get a position. Well, I went over there and I said, all of you can go fuck yourself. I quit. What? I said, fuck you. And meanwhile, why don't you have Human Resources bring over here and see what I might sue you for? So when they opened the letters, they all turned red-faced. So in 6 weeks, none of them were there, including the CEO. He was gone. But I was there for another 14 years.
Right.
See, that's the way they try to roll, low-down scoundrel. I wasn't fucking with them. You know, I took Frida to a luncheon. These son of bitches wrote a goddamn letter to Human Resources about I insulted them because I pulled the chair out for my date at the lunch table.
That sounds crazy. Wow.
I mean, it was ridiculous. They said the below sign, 23 proud lesbians. We object to having to work around this straight black male when there's so many nice gay men to work black gay men. Why do we have to be assigned? Several of them said, we've been in the industry for 25, 30 years. We've never had to work for a straight black male.
Wow.
His voice is too deep and all this other shit. I mean, every time I tape for 15 years, I'd have to be watching my 6. Brought in some people I hired to watch my 6 because they were trying to put knives in your back. Just vicious knives for no reason, just because they hated you for being a straight man.
And they knew that you were not supportive of that lifestyle, and they said, well, we got to take you out. Wow. But you lasted 14 years. You still
15.
lasted 15 years, excuse me. You still lasted 15 years.
And I quit. They wanted to halve what my basic guarantee was, talking about the ratings a lot. I said, but you just got through bragging to the stockholders for CBS that I was their #1 money-making proposition. Now, either you lied to them or you're lying to me. How you find that out? Here, fool. I bought some stock, so I get the stockholders newsletter. Now, you're lying. That's a 10-year sentence with the feds, or are you lying to me? So I just said, I'm old enough to retire, so fuck you.
And you just went on about your business. Okay, I understand.
Went on about my goddamn business.
Man. It's almost as if no, it really is. It seems like they just figured you was like some dumb, ignorant Negro, and you was just going to go along with whatever they told you, but that was not.
I know, but see, they knew that not to be the case.
Yeah.
There's a funny thing about Hollywood. It's in California. And those of us who grew up in California like I did, we used to have an inside joke. Have you ever met a white boy in California that would admit somebody black knew anything that he didn't know better unless it was maybe basketball?
Probably not.
No. In the South, see, I had clients who were white doctors, white lawyers, white businessmen, and I represented them in criminal matters. You know, they'd get DUIs and assaults. They'd punch it out, good old boys behind the roadhouse, you know, type shit. And they'd acknowledge you knew something. It may be as long as you're working for them, but these kind out there in Hollywood, black folk are just ignorant. They were supposed to be trained monkeys. See, they call you talent. I said, I'm not talent, because in 1999, the California Supreme Court wrote a 23-page written opinion saying I am Judge Joe Brown, qualified as an arbitrator under California law. Therefore, everything I do comes under the California judicial arbitration and mediation statutes. And when I rule, it's official and it's enforceable. I have full contempt powers. I can have somebody locked up for disrupting an arbitration proceeding. What I did is enforceable under binding contractual arbitration, and that got backed up in 2007 by the U.S. Supreme Court, who declared such in a related case to be under the U.S. Arbitration Act of 1928. So everybody else was fronting. I never said it was a court. I always said I'm running an arbitration proceeding.
You
so
did say that.
In the decision, it said they had to do what I ordered, and I had the final say so. And if they went against it, they would be subject to prison, fine, and or civil damages. So I'd always throw it at them. Now, fuck you, read that.
Yeah. You're right. You did always use that.
By the way, you don't make enough money. Your ass ain't high enough on the food chain to fire me. So fuck you.
They hated your ass. I know they did. I know they did. I could just imagine.
And by the way, the ones that were responsible for we were leaving, I don't think any one of them made it for 6 weeks before they were fired. When I just wrote a letter to the board of directors telling them what happened. Yeah, and they acknowledged that these bastards had embezzled $25 million, but the lawyer I had who always beat him, he just disappeared. His office was saying, have you seen him? We haven't seen him. They returned some checks. His family was going, Judge, have you seen attorneys on? I haven't seen him. Nobody's seen him since.
Damn. Okay. Well, we can kind of guess what happened there. Damn. All right.
I don't know.
Wow. Let me ask you this. Besides you, who was actually like a real judge when it came to TV? Like,
well, Judge Alex had not only been a real judge, gone to law school, he'd been a street cop. He had good sense. That sister down in out of Atlanta who took over divorce court, she was a real judge. She had good sense. Judy is kind of a tragedy. She's 4 feet 6 inches tall, and she's got a Napoleonic complex. And the other problem is that well, she sent her husband, Shineland, to law school, had some kids, and she went to law school. And when she got out, she hadn't even been out of law school in a year. And Mayor Koch had a brand new court opening, a domestic court. So he appointed her as judge over this domestic court where lawyers could not practice. So she lamented the fact that even though initially she thought she was getting a boost up, actually it was a curse, because as she gets to saying, she'd never had the $1 million lawsuit, a settlement, the big jury verdict, the appeal, or anything, but I had. You know? So I didn't feel those things. And when she'd sniff some Jack Daniels, she'd say, they dug down on me, but when I step on my pocketbook, I'm 7 feet tall.
Also, she's a drunk too.
It's only 85 pounds, for God's sake. She can sniff a glass of Jack Daniels. And, I mean, I don't hold it against her. Lawyers drink. There's a lot of stress. I mean, she wasn't ridiculous, but she's a bitter woman. And matter of fact, actually, what they recruited me for was to threaten her with replacement so she wouldn't demand so much money in her second year.
Gotcha.
but got the foot in the door, and these clowns tried to pull off that Mel Brooks producer thing where if the show was a flop, you could steal more money than you could make if it was a hit.
Damn.
CBS acknowledged that he got away with 25 million at least.
And so let me ask you, Your Honor, what's next for you? I know you said you're going to run
I'm
in
retired,
Memphis.
goddammit.
You don't want to go back?
I'm old in 2 weeks. I don't have to do shit, but
Nice.
I'm still sharp. I know how this place works and where all the skeletons are. Fuck, I know where the graveyards are. So I want to be Mr. Mayor.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to turn this town around. I won't live to see it, but it's going to be the Chicago for the 21st century. It's going to be the second or third largest city in America by the year 2200.
Yeah.
No, 2100.
2100.
20.
I tell you what, they boost that economy there. That's it.
Yeah.
And,
see, Memphis is interesting. One half of it is one of the most affluent areas in the whole of the United States with one of the most absolute high standards of living. Few people realize it, but Tennessee, because of what's going on around here, is number 4 in per capita millionaires. But the other half of Memphis is one of the brokest in the country. Now, guess what the problem is here? These voting machines that are hacked. And do you know what percentage of the registered voters are white?
What's the percentage?
19.1%.
Damn. Seems
just 19.1%, but they run everything.
Right.
And then the colored folk that hold offices are bought off. Not all of them, but too many of them.
Right. Which is usually the story anyway, right? You'll finally get in a position of power, and then it's like, oh, they're bought off. So they living good, but the people are still gonna struggle.
Yeah, the job pays for city council pays $26,000 a year. You got to pay 4 times that to get elected. It's a part-time gig, so they have other jobs, and then they become millionaires off of $26,000 a year.
Right. Come on now. Yeah.
They take too much under the table, so they're owned. Or they bend over. They do the 6 B's: unbelt, drop breeches, drop boxers, bend, butt cheek spread, get banged.
Damn.
Too many of them, Republican and Democrats, they swing together.
And I can believe that too. I've heard the stories. I've heard the stories.
Interestingly enough, they tried to paint some crosswalks and sidewalks red, black, and green, and they made them sandblasted off as an eyesore. Now they got sidewalks and crosswalks painted rainbow. You go to Black Pride BLM meeting, and it looks like gay pride. Well, that's their business. They can do whatever they want to get their freak on. I don't care. That's their business. That's their right. But when you get into politics and try to deal with sociology, that's everybody's business.
And I mean, and Black Lives Matter is basically LGBT
I call it Black Lesbian Mania.
Yeah.
If you want a phrase, take BF it. Black fathers matter. Black families matter. Black finance matters.
Yeah.
Blackness, fatherhood, masculinity, BFM. See what you can do with BFM, and you get away from all of that Black Lives Matter. And because it's been corrupted. Yes. And then they want to come up with stuff like far right Republicans have embarrassed BLM and compromised it. It was some savvy black folks said we're tired of getting pimped, and we exposed it. And they wound up taking that mantra down, what we believe. It started off, we are for the destruction of the traditional nuclear family. We are a queer affirming network. We are for the ending of cisgender privilege in the family. Cisgender is a newly created word, and it's their slang slur against normal people, men and women. They got passages in there that were straight out of NAMBLA, North American Man-Boy Love Association.
Because I was going to ask you, how long before they just make pedophilia another sexuality? Like
in my opinion, the death penalty does not do anything to deter murderers, but it's a fit penalty for child molesters. Something's wrong with them. I would have them assessed prior to sentencing, and they would hook them up with putting these transducers on their dicks and showing them simulated porn or real porn. They wouldn't get the slightest erection off of boys and girls, grown boys and girls, grown men and women having sex. They'd start getting erect when it was homosexual, and they would get rock hard 98% erection when it was simulation of children having sex with grown people. They're hardwired. Nothing you can do with them except chemically castrate them because they're forever a danger. And the sex drive is the strongest drive out there.
Which means they're just going to keep doing it. There is no stop. No.
Now, by the way, I'll give you an example. Every time you see a human, what do you see?
Whether they're male or female?
You see a successful fuck.
Oh, shit.
Your job is to get born, to mature, to fuck, to reproduce, to raise, and then die.
That's the cycle. That's the life cycle right there. Yes.
Yeah. Since for the last 4 billion years, the planet's been working on it. And when they started having asexual production, sexual production, that's what it was all about. You're born or you're hatched, you mature, you reproduce, you raise, and then your ass die.
And the cycle goes on and on and on.
And every time you see a human, you see a successful fuck. Unless somebody got artificially inseminated. And then I guess you're looking at a successful jack-off bout and a good thing with the turkey baster. But you know,
but you still see a man and a woman that came together some kind of way. Yeah.
Now, these folk 50 years ago were praying that they would hurry up and come up with human cloning so you wouldn't need men. And I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings, but if I did, fuck you, I won't hurt them worse. It's straighten the fuck up, man up, woman up. Be real, do what you're supposed to do, deal with duty, honor, responsibility, accountability. Make where you are a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics. And what is your purpose? Look in the goddamn mirror and be what you're supposed to be. And every day you can answer to yourself whether or not you were, and feel intense shame if you weren't. And that will keep you straight.
That'll keep you straight.
And remember, if you're going to die anyway, you might as well die for something, because ain't nobody getting out this motherfucker alive.
It's a storm show. Ay, it's a storm show.